The real reason why music is getting worse today. That is the name of the video that Rick Beato, one of the people I look up to on YouTube, posted. And in today's video, we are gonna watch clips of that video and we are gonna react to it. Let's go. Before we start this video, my name is AJ. If you are new here, welcome to the channel. Here we talk about guitar gear, and other nerdy guitar things. But in today's video, we're gonna talk about music in general, and we're gonna watch Rick's video.
On the history of the music business and technology in 2 acts. Act 1. Music is too easy to make.
I think I know where this is going.
What do I mean by music is too easy to make? Let's just go back to the 1940s and 50s. Frank Sinatra used to get up in front of an orchestra and sing a vocal take, and they had one microphone. And they would get it balanced just right. Frank would say, okay, I'm ready to do it, and he'd sing it.
This is crazy to me. So what that means is back in the day, during Frank Sinatra's time, they would have one microphone, they would have an orchestra behind them. They would position Frank in the middle and he would sing on the microphone and they would pick up the whole thing and they would record all of that with one microphone with one track, which is crazy.
Then you get into the 1960s or so, and then you have things where you have multi-track machines. You could go in if you had a mistake in a vocal part or any instrument and you do a punch in. Oh, I don't like that word, I sang it out of tune, or I want to change this lyric. You go in and you just punch in, fix the line, punch out.
So here we go from transitioning from one track to multi-tracks. In 1999, my high school band recorded an album and we rented a portable recording studio from our local music shop, and it had 8 tracks and it had like the mini discs. So what we did is we borrowed 7 mics from our church. I think they were all Shure SM58s. We mic'd the drum kit with the 7 tracks. And we recorded the drums, all 7 mics, and then we bounced those 7 tracks onto one track, and then we recorded the bass, and then one guitar, and then the other guitar, and vocal, and background vocals, and that's how we did it back in the day, so we only had 8 tracks. Whereas today, in your DAW and Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, you have unlimited number of tracks that you could record to.
Auto-Tune was a plug-in that would go into these DAWs, digital audio workstations. So you'd have something like Pro Tools or Logic or Ableton. What you do is you take the vocal, let's say the song's in C major. Any note in the key of C major, it would tune the note to.
Now, Rick's talking about auto-tune here. Auto-tune was revolutionary when it came out because like Rick said, we can correct pitches and vocal takes. And it was also used as an effect, the Cher song and from T-Pain. And in today's world, I truly feel that auto-tune is just one of the tools you use in making a record. In fact, I'm making a record right now and producing vocals, and I'm using auto-tune because it is just a tool that you have at your disposal.
Then they give you this tool called Beat Detective. Then you can actually quantize an entire part. So then it becomes like a drum machine. So it's not human-like.
The drum sounds that you can get these days is just unbelievable. And what Rick is talking about here is obviously acoustic drums. And I'm going to show you some examples of how I made an acoustic drums that I recorded from 2010 sound better in today's world. Here is a recording of a song that my friend Brian Batt and I did in 2010. Man, we were new to recording, so we didn't really know what we were doing. So to me, the snare and the kick aren't sounding as thick and as big as I wanted. Listen how it sounds when we add kick and snare samples. It instantly changes the drum sounds. It just makes it thick and full. Another thing that has been amazing for solo musicians or for recording musicians at home like myself is the advent of plugins such as Easy Drummer, Steven Slate, all these amazing drums, even just the Logic Drummer, they all sound realistic and they could do the job. And so you don't have to go to a studio with mics and record a drum kit. You could literally track at home.
The other thing that people realize is that it's really difficult and time-consuming to record a drum set. You need a studio and a lot of gear.
And that's exactly what I was talking about. It's hard to record drums. You don't have the space, you don't have the means, you don't have the mics. And so, you know, I myself, I'm a big fan of Easy Drummer. and Steven Slate trigger. Yeah, and I use it literally in everything that I do. And I think that's the beautiful part about making music these days is like we can do it at home.
Most people now just use amp modelers. They plug into their computer, they pull up their program, everything is done for them. They've already been pre-mic'd, pre-selected. They're all using the same algorithms. They can create great sounds. They're so easy to use. It doesn't take any skill at all, but it doesn't take any creativity either.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you, Rick. I love amp modeling as much as I love MIDI drums and drum samples. Again, what it did is it gave us regular guys who are recording at home the ability and the capability to make great sounding records or demos at home.
Pre-programmed chord progressions, because for some reason people can't just kind of space their fingers out and learn to play a few chords like that, or maybe just experiment.
This is true. I'm not a keyboard player, and the way I program keyboards is I would literally look up the keys in relation to where my fingers would be on guitar, and I would make guitar chords on keyboard. So I don't understand keyboards. Well, I do, but not really. So I myself have bought MIDI chord packs, but yeah, I actually don't use them the way that they're intended to. So I still like going in there and writing every single note on the MIDI pad.
Let's start with the creative dependency on technology limits the ability of people to innovate, I believe. Could be wrong about that. Maybe it helps them innovate.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you, Rick. I think technology has helped me be more creative. I've been recording music since I was a kid, since the early 2000s. When I got my MacBook and I was able to record on GarageBand and then later onto Logic, which I've used for a decade now, man, I've been more creative. I just took a look and I have, I think, over 600 pieces of music on my computer and on hard drives. So saying that technology has prevented people from being more creative, I disagree, because I've been more creative now than I've ever been as a kid.
The homogenization of music, the over-reliance on similar tools, as I just brought up with the amp models, creates a lack of diversity. I think that leads to music becoming more formulaic and people just following trends of using certain types of sounds. This is why these trap beats have been in vogue for the last 20 years. People just, they know they work, so they just keep using them all the time.
I kind of like the trap beats.
It just came out. All three major labels are suing AI startups for copyright infringement. Universal Music Group, Sony Music, and Warner Music are suing Suno and Udio for copyright infringement. Companies like Universal are not doing it for the good of their music to protect their copyright owners. What's going on here is they just announced that they're partnering with a company called SoundLab to make AI models of their artists for themselves. They want to own the AI versions of these songs. Whether you create it or whether they create it, they're going to own it.
Man, the advent of AI and vocals and making melodies and having music produced by AI, it's a crazy thing. And yeah, I see what Rick is saying here, especially about the record labels trying to get a grasp on it immediately. Yeah, the record labels. My YouTube friend, Jonny actually made a cool video about this. He wrote a song and then he wrote the lyrics and he put it into an AI algorithm and it produced the melody for him. He's got a really cool video. I'll go link it in the descriptions below. Go check it out.
It's too easy to consume. So this is the water faucet in my kitchen. But imagine this is streaming on Spotify or Apple Music. You can turn it on, you can turn it off, but what's going on in the stream of water is all of the music that's on these platforms. Now imagine this is one artist's entire output, their entire catalog. Might be The Police, could be Billie Eilish, could be Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, and then this dropper is each of their songs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I just did a whole record there. And eventually you exhaust their whole catalog. When I hit this and I start the stream, the music has very little importance if you think about it this way. It goes from the faucet down the drain, out to the sewer, where it's recycled again.
That is a great analogy on streaming services and how they work and how we consume music these days.
This album here, Pat Metheny, New Chautauqua, I paid $8 for, brand new, with the money that I made by bagging groceries at Tops grocery store in Fairport, New York.
Man, I resonate with this so much. I started consuming or buying music in the early 90s in elementary school. And just like Rick said, I used to have a paper route, and back in the day, CDs were like $20. And so I would maybe get a CD twice a month. And so I had to be very selective of the music that I bought. You would be so invested on the CD. You would take that CD home, you would pull out the book. I love how the book smelled. You would read all the liner notes. You would know everything about that artist through that book. I used to love reading who produced it, who wrote it, who mixed it. And man, we just don't have that kind of experience anymore with music.
Think about this. All of the music that exists, or at least it's been uploaded to Spotify or Apple Music, is available for $10.99 a month.
This to me is unbelievable. Like I said, albums used to cost $20 when I was a kid. And so for half that price, you can have every song ever invented, which is amazing.
Jackson's music, all of AC/DC, Pink Floyd, Whitney Houston, Tupac, Kendrick Lamar, Juice WRLD, Eminem, Dr. Dre, all the works of Beethoven, of Bach, of Mozart, of Stravinsky, of Shostakovich.
Metallica, Bon Jovi, Rage Against the Machine, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Foo Fighters. Come on, Rick, let's get some rock bands with guitars here.
Which is why music is not as valued by young people. There is no sweat equity put into obtaining it. Just a couple times a week, play just a few songs. Don't look at your phone, or as I call it, the thought deletion device, because it empties your mind out. Don't look at TikTok. Don't look at YouTube or Twitter. Don't look at Instagram. Just listen to the music. Let it flow over you. Think about the lyrics. Think about the melody. And try to experience music like you used to. Or if you're young, try to experience music in the way that we used to.
I love this so much. I've actually been doing this forever, especially with my kids now. I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and on our way to school, we listen to music in the truck. And I still consume music like I did back in the day. I would find a song on Spotify that I would love, and it would become my song of the week, and I would just listen to it forever, just like if I got the record. And my daughter Sloan always asks me to play the song of the week, or she'll ask me what the song of the week is. I think you should do the same in your world. Man, take a song, consume music like you did back in the day if you're old like me, or if you're young, just really immerse yourself in an artist or in their song or in an album. And man, there's something about that you really, really connect with. The reason why I made this video was because when I watched Rick's video, I really resonated with what he was saying. Is music getting worse these days? I'm not sure. Music is subjective, and what I like and what you like and what my daughters like is completely different. I might sound like an old man saying this, but if you are watching this video, so you're here for guitar content, when I was growing up, I listened to a lot of guitar bands, and it was the 90s, and in the 2000s it was grunge and like punk rock and emo, and it's not as popular as it once was. So in my opinion, while I respect the most played songs on Spotify, they're not necessarily on my playlist. I think I'm gonna end the video right here. Thanks so much to Rick Beato for making this video, for making us think about music and how we consume it and how we produce it. Rick's got such an amazing channel. He's a great teacher, so thank you, Rick. If you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you so much. Please consider liking and subscribing. Hit that bell for notifications. I will see you guys in the next video. Pick up that guitar, play along with Spotify, and let's go.